Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Welcome to the breakdown. It is Sunday. No idea what's going on with that camera angle, but we'll sort that out as we're going. Welcome. Lots and lots to discuss. It's a weird one because obviously you've got the game from yesterday, which I probably won't spend a great deal of stuff talking about, just simply because it was a nothing game. There was nothing on it. It was... I don't know what to say. Like, it wasn't particularly enjoyable. Second half was better. There we go. But like, it's difficult when there's no jeopardy. You know, we all want Cardiff City to win, etc. But ultimately, nothing on it. No one cares. Didn't care less. Like, we got relegated, so it was absolutely depressing. In fact, the only reason I really wanted to see a good, really solid performance and a really exciting game was for those fans, because they're fair play to the 1,200, I think it was, or 300. Incredible numbers when we're already down. And the away fans have been sensational all season. And no matter how bad it's got, they deserve a tremendous amount of credit. A few people sending in suggestions already for the managers and stuff like that, but we'll get to it. I have my personal view, and I don't think people will agree with it, or some people won't agree with it, judging by the comments. But that's okay. It's all about opinions, and we welcome everyone. In fact, let's start with it. Let's start with the manager situation, and I will tell you what I think is going to happen and what I would like to happen. And this is not based on anything other than a bit of hope, a bit of belief. You know, we've always got a bit of that. We're Cardiff City fans. Got to have the hope, because that's what kills you. I believe that Aaron Ramsey will be the next Cardiff City manager. I believe that Chris Gunter will be his assistant, and the coach is a similar sort of structure in place to what we saw at the end of the season. Maybe it changes a little bit for one reason or another. And then I think we'll see a director of football, stroke technical director type person who will have more experience and someone for Aaron Ramsey to lean on, etc. And I believe that's the best way forward for Cardiff. And there's a couple of reasons why I think that. Number one, it's not the biggest reason, but Aaron Ramsey loves Cardiff City. Cardiff City loves Aaron Ramsey. Vincent's hand listens to Aaron Ramsey in terms of what he thinks about football, what he thinks about the way the club should be run, etc. Like, he values, or I shouldn't say he listens to him. He values his opinion, which is good. I also don't believe that Aaron Ramsey would take the job unless he has got certain assurances or whatever you would call them in terms of the structure changing and improving with regards to how the club's set up. Because he's mentioned it himself in recent interviews. There's issues with the structure. I don't want to go over again. If you really want to delve into it detailed, please watch my Rebuilding Cardiff City series. There's 2 episodes out now. 3rd episode will be out later this week, probably Thursday. Make sure you check out Evan's video on Tuesday as well, by the way, which is a keep, loan, sell video, which is really good. It's interesting. I like it. But going back to what I was saying is, I don't think Aaron Ramsey would take the job unless he gets assurances that things are going to change. Now, that might just be that we just hire a director of football. My hope has always been that we will not just go, right, let's hire blah, blah, blah as director of football. I would like to see us implement a full football operations structure with several different roles within it that have different responsibilities and different strategies to work on throughout the season, day to day. So there's people working at the football club who are football people making football decisions daily at Cardiff City. That might be transfers. That might be the philosophy of the club overall and the style of play, implementing those sorts of things. That might be how the football clubs run. That might be changing the culture in the dressing room, which is well overdue. That might be addressing the culture at the club. It might be educating the young players in how to conduct themselves. I mean, for me, I'd be saying, look at Callum O'Dowda this season. That's how a professional footballer behaves. That's how you respect your employer. That's how you respect the fans. That's how you respect Cardiff City. You play for the badge. You treat the fans with the utmost respect, and you give it everything. This is just my opinion, though. I saw someone say Patrick Vieira. Saw someone else say Darren Moore. In my opinion, the best thing for the long term, and again, this kind of circles back to the structure. The reason why Cardiff City repeatedly have failed over the last several years is we have no short-term plan, no mid-term plan, no long-term plan. If you put Aaron Ramsey in charge, you get him in there, you give him his coaches, you give him the football structure above to help him and support him. You make sure someone within that structure is very experienced so he can lean on that experience, because he is an inexperienced manager, of course. He will change the culture in that dressing room. They can, as a group, change the culture and the things at the club which need to be changed. But equally, what we can then do is plan for the future. Long term, you have a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 2-year plan, a 1-year plan, and you move. In my opinion, that's the best way to do it. Now, Aaron Ramsey has got contacts all over Europe in terms of football at the very top level. And if you don't believe that, I don't know what to tell you. Chris Gunter is one of the most highly rated young coaches, assistants, whatever you want to call it, in the UK. Also knows Cardiff City, knows Welsh football, knows what it means to wear that kit, to wear that badge, to play in front of those fans. Because let me tell you something for free. Too many of those players in that squad now have no idea what it means to play for Cardiff City. No idea whatsoever. They either don't want to know or they just don't care. I'll let you pick which one you think it is. And that's a problem. And I think even yesterday, when there's a game, there's no pressure, we're down, just go and give the fans a show. Some of them still couldn't turn up, travel, have a decent attitude, do the basics, take your pick again. And this is why the culture at the football club has got to change. Nothing will change if we keep doing the same old stuff every time and expecting different results. We haven't addressed the issues for several years, and look where it's got us. League One. It's a problem. I, for one, and I can only ever speak for myself, I'm just a Cardiff City fan who happens to have a channel and talks to Cardiff City fans. I'm just giving my opinion. Too many of them are an issue, so it's time for a clear out. Some people won't agree with the people that I think we should move on. Some people will think differently. Some people will think some are okay. Some people have favorites. That's all okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. That's fine. But something's got to change. I think we can all agree on that. So it is a fascinating period for the club. Most importantly, the club have got to address these things and these issues immediately. They should have started a week ago, if not longer. I mean, well, if we were worth our salt, we'd have had a plan for going down, a plan for staying up, and we'd have had certain things in place already. So a guy called, I've got his name already, Stu, sent me a question. I'm going to try and dig that out now. We will get to the other stuff. Like, again, I'm going to talk about Dylan Lawlor and the young players. Going to talk about the Callum Robinson to Wrexham rumor, which won't go away. We're going to talk about Callum Chambers. We're going to talk about Ollie Tanner. We're going to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. We'll answer some questions. It's Sunday night. Just have some fun. Let me see if I can find this. Oh, hello. Let's find this message now. Let's see if we can find this question, shall we? Right. So the question from Stu is, what effect do you think the constant change of management, starting 11 and losses will have on the morale for the squad going into Division 1? And how do they bring confidence back to the team and the fan base? So with that, that's I kind of touched on it a little bit in some respects, but I think it is difficult. Like, and this is why you saw with Ipswich, and I think you've seen with Wrexham over the past few years, and I think you might see with Wrexham again next year. Is momentum's massive in football. Confidence and belief is massive in football. Massive. It's massive in any level of football, by the way. Not just professional, grassroots, amateur, semi-professional, non-league, whatever, Welsh league. It's belief, confidence, morale, momentum, huge things, huge metrics and huge influences on teams and groups. Now, you look at Wrexham, 3 back-to-back promotions. They are used to winning. They are used to grinding out results when they don't play well. They are used to winning football matches when the pressure's on. You take that into the new season, then of course you are going to just build on that. You look, Ipswich did it up through the League One and into the Championship, and then, built on that. My thing with Cardiff is, as I just said, we have to have a clear out of this squad. We're the 5th highest wage budget in the league. But more importantly for me, and of course that's important, but more importantly for me is the culture in that dressing room is toxic, is negative at best. We have to clear that out. So my hope is that what you're left with, hopefully they do the clearing out as early as possible as well in the summer. Get it done, even if you're a bit short for a bit, and then you get some players in as you go along. But you've got to get rid of the toxicity. You've got to get rid of the players who don't want to be there. If you don't want to be at Cardiff City, fine, go. If you're not in it for the fight, then don't be here, because you're not on the same page and you're not pulling in the same direction as everyone else at the football club, as the fans, as the coaches, the manager, the players, the youth team, the academy, the whoever, everyone from top to bottom. Everyone's got to be pulling in the same direction. And if you're not on board, then get off the train. So for me, yes, momentum and confidence is massive. My hope is that by having a bit of an evolution and clear out of that dressing room, it won't have as big an effect as it could do. If we go into the start of that season with predominantly the same group of experienced footballers, then I do worry that we might end up on the slide, because there's obviously a confidence and a belief thing and a momentum thing. We have not really managed to get any level of confidence and run of wins all season. That's a long time to go without building like a winning run. I also think that a lot of those players have got not the right attitude for whatever reason, whether it's because they don't want to be here or because they think they're too big for the club, or I don't know what it is. But get the clear out done. Focus on the people who want to be there. Build around that. And you start from the foundations and you build up in terms of building the squad, building the team, whoever the manager is, whether it's Aaron Ramsey or anyone else. And you do it and you allow them to put those building blocks in place for the short term, try and get promotion from League One next year, but also looking towards the future. Got these very good young players coming through. You can't just chuck them in at the deep end. Some of them are going to be ready to play week in, week out. Some of them are going to be ready to be in the squad. Some of them might need a loan. But it's about having a short, mid, and long-term plan. In terms of that, so that's the kind of the confidence, morale, belief side of it. I think a big positive step in the direction of making sure that's not an issue is clearing out the squad or evolving the squad. The constant change of managers has to stop. Whether it's Aaron Ramsey or it's someone else, we have to have a plan, implement a plan, and be patient with it. If it doesn't hit the ground running straight away or it doesn't work straight away, we've got to have things in place to support that manager and give that manager time to build his squad, build his tactics and his way of playing, and allow them to settle into the job and then build on it. We cannot just go 6 games in, oh, this is terrible, this is not working. Like, you've got to give them time. You've got to allow them time. But that also goes back to the structure. If that manager has got good coaches and he's got good people in and around him on a daily basis, you know, the best directors of football and football operation structures are around the manager, speaking to the manager on a daily basis. They know how he feels. They know what he's concerned about. They know which players he likes in the squad or maybe he's not sure of. They're constantly that, and those views and those opinions and those feelings are constantly evolving day to day because they have that relationship. That's how you build it. That's how you build a togetherness. That's how you build a relationship, and that's how you take the club forward. I can't believe it's not rocket science, is it? But there we go. The fan base side of it, I think, of course, there's a bit of anxiety in the fan base because we know this group hasn't performed. They haven't scored enough goals. They haven't won enough games. We've lost a lot of games from winning positions. Now, you know, there's various issues and reasons and all these different things that come into it. I think one of the things that we were talking about the other day is like, well, why didn't Will Fish play for the first half of the season? But then he did play the second half of the season and it didn't get a lot better. There's issues. The squad needs to get better. It needs to be improved. It needs to be more balanced. Why I said the other day that the recruitment team has to take some responsibility for what's happened this year and over the recent years. We've got one senior right back and he was not in good form. So he had to keep being played when he wasn't very good. And then when he got injured or suspended, we didn't have a right back. We had to play a midfielder there. That's outrageous for a championship club or any club that's got some semblance of a plan when they're building their squad. It's insanity. So I think by and large, the fans have stuck with the football club. They stuck with the club, even with Errol Bullitt. Towards the end of last season, there was a definite split in the fan base. There was a kind of half wanted Errol Bullitt to get the job and build on that stability that they felt he had created last season. And then it was half was like, that football was so bad to watch that I don't see it getting better and I don't think that it should improve. So there was a split. But when it came to game day, everybody was behind Errol Bullitt. When it came to game day, everybody was behind Omar Rhys. Even when Omar Rhys made questionable decisions, squad selections, tactical decisions, tactical mistakes, the fan base on the day, match days, was absolutely 100% behind him till the end, like till the last couple of games. But, you know, the fan base, you know, 1,000, what did we say, 1,500, 1,000, whatever it was, 300 yesterday, traveled to Norwich, already relegated, likely to finish bottom of the league, and still they went in their numbers and sang and laughed and partied and supported the football team. The fans will be there. And this is what I've said all along is owners, board members, managers, coaches, players, they'll come and go, but we will always be there. We will be there next year. We will be there next week. We will be there next month. We will be there. And if we're not there, our kids will be there and then their kids will be there. We'll be there. It's the rest of them which move on and go elsewhere. You know, these players who've let us down time and time again this season and longer in some cases, they're the ones for the last month or two who've been going, oh, where should we go next year? Which championship club am I going to move to next year? Well, I'm better than Cardiff City. I'm better than League One. Well, that doesn't apply to us, does it? We'll be there and we'll keep going, and we're stuck with Cardiff City forever. And on that note, I've seen a few little rumblings today about players asking to leave. So I did a bit of digging, sent a few texts out and stuff. All I would say is there's members of the squad who have made their intentions clear, or have said probably outright that they want to go, I believe. There's also members of the squad who've said, if a bid comes in for me, then I would like you to accept it. And then there's people like Yusuf SALECH who've committed themselves to Cardiff City and said, no, I want to stay. I want to build, and I've loved my time here. I love this club, and I want to stay. That's why everyone loves him, because he gets it. Yusuf SALECH gets it. He gets Cardiff City. Now, him staying or going may be completely out of his hands. As we've seen so many times over the years, Cardiff City has got a habit of seeing the money signs when the bids come in and trying to force players out. You know, I've spoken myself to Joe Ledley, to Graham Kavanagh, on and off camera about them effectively being forced out by the football club because the football club wanted the money. They saw the pound signs. So that is what it is. Some players will go, some players will leave. My opinion is, if a player's under contract, the deal has to be right for Cardiff. Now, in some cases, that will be the price has got to be right. In other cases, that will be, do we want you to stay or do we not? It's as simple as that for me. You know, there's a few, I think, who will leave. I do think Alex Robertson will go. He looked a real frustrated figure from when he came back from his injury. And I think him and Tanner fall under the same brush a little bit in terms of not about wanting to leave or whether I think they'll leave. I think they were both rushed back from injury because we needed them, but we rushed them back without a plan how to reintegrate them into the team. So they both came back completely unfit, completely unprepared from a physical point of view for first team football. Started off poorly and then were never able to get that sort of match fitness and that momentum in the way they were playing. And I think that's a big issue. If you ask me, and I had to put my life on it, I think both probably go. So someone asked me specifically about Ollie Tanner because they had heard that he had asked to move. All I've heard about that in regards to that is that he effectively said, if a bid comes in, I would like it to be considered. So he hasn't asked to leave, but he also hasn't asked to stay, if that makes sense, is what I was told. Now, it's that time of year, and you've also got to think like people are pissed off, people are upset, and it's difficult. The people who I speak to, like, they would know, and that's my understanding of where Ollie Tanner is at the moment. I think Ollie Tanner could be a massive player for Cardiff City next year, but Ollie Tanner's got to put the work in different aspects. I felt like, yes, he struggled a little bit when he came back from injury this time, and I think we rushed him, and I don't think it was fair to him what we ended up doing with him and to him. But I also think he has a habit sometimes of switching off defensively when he's playing in that wide position, which can sometimes be an issue depending on who's playing in that sort of fullback role behind him. Now, my opinion is Ollie Tanner is one of them players who's probably too good for League One, maybe not quite at the top level of the Championship yet, but he's still quite young. And I think that there's definitely an element of next season he could really kick on. I would like to think that he thinks Cardiff City is the right place for him to do that, because I think he could go and kick on and really kickstart his playing career to a new level. Because I think what Ole Tanner needs most is to play regular football. He needs to start football matches, get that momentum of playing games. But it'll remain to be seen. As I said earlier, some players that I want to stay will leave. Some players that I want to keep will go, and it's one of those things. And it's the same, not just me, it's the same for everyone. Cardiff City as a football club will have to do what's best for them. The players will individually need to look at what's best for them, for their lives, for their families, for etc. And I don't think you can ever knock anyone. Look, I want everyone to be fully committed to Cardiff City, and you can be fully committed to Cardiff City, but then still think at some point that the decision to move on to what you see as bigger and better things, that's a fair one. I would never knock anyone for making a decision that's best for their family, because you never know what's going on in people's personal lives. You never know what their family situation is. They have the right to decide what they do with their career. And, I know, like, it's a famous old saying, or like a bit of an old cliche, there's no loyalty in football, but that does go both ways. There's no loyalty from players, but there's no loyalty from clubs. Like, what we're just talking about, like, we're talking about getting rid of half the dressing room because we don't like, or I don't like the toxicity of it or the attitude of it. So, like, there's no loyalty in football either way. So I think you can't really knock players for looking to see what their options are in the summer. Would I like everyone to kind of give it the use of SALECH and say, I love Cardiff City, I want to stay, I've loved my time here, etc.? Yeah, I would love that, but it's not the way the world works, unfortunately. Another one I wanted to touch on was Joe Ralls. So earlier on in the season, I kind of I talked about Joe a lot, especially towards like the start of the season. I talked about it a lot, like about how I didn't think he was going to be a starter this year, but I still thought that he could be a massive part of the group and of the team, and he could contribute massively, whether it be 20 minutes here and there, maybe starting the right games. I think last Sunday I mentioned that I thought, because we got relegated, I thought we might end up offering him a new contract in some form. I don't think it's the right thing to do. I think I would love to see him go into coaching at the club. I would love to see him stay at the football club. I'm just not sure that now. I think we need to evolve the team, and not just like, yes, we need to change the culture in the dressing room, and we need to address the toxicity and the bad attitudes and the bad mentality in that group. But that's not Joe Ralls. That's never been Joe Ralls. Joe Ralls is exemplary in the way he conducts himself. He tries his best to be a leader. He's not a leader, I don't think, in maybe what people envisage as like a stereotypical leader. But he, as I've mentioned many times recently, him and Aaron Ramsey did absolutely everything they physically, mentally, and just objectively could to keep that dressing room together and fighting against relegation. They weren't successful, unfortunately, but that was not down to lack of effort or lack of commitment to Cardiff City. And, Joe Ralls is definitely a tremendous servant to Cardiff City. I just think, unfortunately, in terms of building a midfield in that starting 11, it's probably we need to move on from him. Now, if he had like a year or two left, I would definitely keep him as a squad option. Unfortunately, the way it kind of works is he's out of contract. He's on big wages. So unless he's willing to take a probably quite substantial pay cut to stay at the club for a couple of years, that's different. But I also am keen on the flip side of that, devil's advocate and all this, like to look at it from all angles. Some people, we mentioned Yusuf SALECH, just gets it. Callum O'Dowda gets it. Gets what it means to play for Cardiff City. Joe Ralls gets it. And I think what you don't want to do is you don't want to end up with a group or a squad that hasn't got anyone in there who understands what it means to play for Cardiff City. And I think that's definitely got to be taken into consideration. Now, maybe he could go on like a player coach role, and the play inside be like a pay-as-you-play deal or something. I don't know, because I don't know how the club will work. They might just offer him a new contract. They might just not. But I would like to see Joe Ralls stay at Cardiff City, but just not as a starter. We've got to move on, and we've got to evolve the squad and look at what we're trying to do and what we're trying to build, like we have to. It just hasn't been good enough in every metric. Hasn't been good enough for a long time. So because it hasn't been good enough, it has to change. And we can't change we can't evolve if we don't make changes. So for me, that's like one of those things you've got to probably painfully address, because it's not nice. He's been a tremendous servant to the football club and deserves a really good send off and deserves more. But it kind of is what it is now. We have to change things, and we have to move on. And I think the midfield is a big area for Cardiff to evolve and move on. Now we have to get some really athletic, creative, young, aggressive players in there. For too long, Cardiff City's midfield has been split open by one or two passes, just one pass straight through the middle because of lack of athleticism or lack of positional awareness. So for me, that's going to be a big area for us to improve. Let's go to some questions. Spoken for 33 minutes straight. Tolga White says, what's your opinion about what if Errol Bullitt stayed for a little longer? Could have been different. Someone put this to me the other day, and it's a really interesting question, because you can't avoid the fact that we were 6 games in, we hadn't won a football match. We scored 1 goal and we had 1 point. I think if you said it to me in the summer, will we go down under Errol Bullitt, I'd have vehemently and confidently said, no, we will not go down under Errol Bullitt. However, after those first 6 games, I think it was very clear that he had lost the players. There was at least a group of them who had a real issue with him. The football was dire. It was terrible to watch. Some of the worst stuff I've ever seen as a Cardiff fan. Just in terms of an entertaining product, it was awful. So it's one of them. I think he'd lost the dressing room and he had to go. And I think from that point, if he stays, I'm not sure he keeps us up, simply because he'd lost the dressing room and lost the players. And usually when that happens, there's no turning back. If you'd asked me in the summer before that, I probably would have said, yeah. Let's go and have a look who's knocking about, shall we? John Watkins says maybe a health question mark on Tony Mowbray. I wonder if he'd be interested in a director of football type role. It's an interesting one, mate. I haven't heard him mentioned as a director of football. Renario says Tony Mowbray, Rob Edwards, or Des Buckingham. I do like Des Buckingham. I like Mowbray as well. Mowbray was my choice to take over from Errol Bullitt. Holton says all can go list. Chambers, Darland, NG, Robinson in capitals, Robertson, Collins, Gutas, El Ghazi, Ramsey, Turnbull, Darlin twice, Wintle, Mate, and Howworth. I think I agree with all but 3 of those names, mate. I think I would, like I've already said, I would like Ramsey to be the manager. I would keep Alex Robertson if possible. I would keep Di Turnbull. Darlin's a question mark for me. The rest of them can go, as far as I'm concerned. Some of them quicker than others, to be quite honest. Let's have a look. Who else is talking? Evan says, I saw a video of Simic chucking his kit to the fans in a mood after the Norwich game. I'd have been peed off if I was him, but it seems like he wasn't a good vibe in the dressing room. So, yeah, this Rocco Simic thing is mad, isn't it? Like, we signed him from a Champions League club and then send him on loan, which was baffling in itself because we don't score many goals. There's unconfirmed reports of when he's at Court Vic, he hasn't got the best attitude towards training and maybe thinks he's a bit bigger than there. They are very much unconfirmed, though. I've not heard that from anyone reputable. Anyone that I speak to, no one has said anything along those lines to me. However, it came from some people who I was speaking to, messaged me from fans of Court Vic. So, you know, you could only go on that. There's clearly something because I haven't watched loads of him for the 21s, but the little bits that I've seen, he just looks decent and looks like a goal scorer. And he also, I thought, looked in small doses like he was probably a little bit too good for the under 21s team. But it's not just one manager. Like, there's 3 managers have had him available and none of them have given him a minute. You know, even Aaron Ramsey yesterday, nothing on the game, could have brought him on and didn't. It's a weird one. I have absolutely no idea whether it's because of his attitude, it's because of some sort of issue with him. Is there, like, I don't know, or if it's just they don't fancy him, or it's just hasn't quite come about at a point where they felt comfortable throwing him in. I do not know. I am going to try and find out over the summer and going into pre-season because, you know, he could be a massive asset next year if he hits the ground running in pre-season. Like, you know, say what you will about Callum Robinson. At the end of last season, last summer, went away, got his head straight, came back in pre-season, sharp, fit, in shape, scoring goals in pre-season, forced his way back into the squad, into the group, into Errol Bullett's plans, and scored goals. If Simic learns anything from this group of players, that's what I would urge him to learn from, is go and do what Callum Robinson did last summer. Spend all the break now getting fit, strong, get in the gym, be fit, get it, you're like peak fitness and peak weight and everything. Do some one-on-one training with coaches, get yourself sharp, get your finishing sharp, start the preseason sharp, and then make yourself undeniable. So you score so many goals and you play so well that you simply they cannot ignore you. They cannot not select you. That would be my advice to him. In the meantime, I will try and find out what is going on with it. But I will also say I don't blame him for doing what he did yesterday. Like, I think there's an element of, like, he's making a point by doing it, so blatantly chucking all the individual shirts in there. But maybe he was just being, and this is the other thing, right? Maybe it was the end of season, so he's just chucking his shirts to the fans who have been great and have travelled up to Norwich, and he's trying to give back and just trying to build a relationship with the fans. But because of the way social media is these days, it's just ended up being a thing, you know? Does that make sense? Like, maybe it's not a thing, but it looked like a thing. It's one of them, isn't it? Renario says, we need someone who's not going to take any shit and clear out the bad apples. That I agree with, mate. Evan says, feel like we'll get a lot of behind-the-scenes drama revealed in the next few weeks as players move clubs. Not saying Sai's going to reveal anything to us. Maybe, mates. I mean, it'll all come out now anyway over the summer. Yes, Jamie. Jamie says, we keep going, Bluebirds. Yeah, mate, honestly, I was a very proud Cardiff City fan last night and yesterday, watching all those fans travel. Patrick Vieira would be decent, says Jonathan. Doubt he wants a League One job, though. He's never took any shit. Had an eye for youngster and play some decent stuff at Palace. Actually, me and Rhodri talked about him a lot during his when he got sacked by Palace. We thought he was really harshly done by. He was very good. You can't really knock it because Glasner's done an excellent job for him since taking over. But I thought Vieira was doing a good job. It'd be interesting, mate. I think just on that subject, like names like Patrick Vieira and Ryan Giggs and stuff, you say they won't take League One jobs. I think they will if it's the right job and the right project. I don't think any of them would have an issue with dropping down, but it's got to be the right project, the right thing and stuff like that. And I doubt Vieira, he hasn't really got any links to Cardiff, although does he have any links to Aaron Ramsey? Did they play together? They probably did. Patrick Vieira, manager, Aaron Ramsey, assistant. There you go. Happy days for you, Jonathan, there. Evening, Curtis. Evening, Sarah. Evan says, I want Darren Moore with Chris Gunter as the assistant. Not sure how that would work, but that's two big personalities in there. Yeah, Darren Moore is not the worst idea I've seen. Jamie says, for me, I just feel the club will give Ramsey and Gunter. Somebody gets the club. Yeah. As I said earlier, they get it. But I also think, apart from the fact that they get it, and apart from the fact that I think if Ramsey takes it, I think he'll want certain assurances and things in place off the field. But I also, if you speak to anybody from the Welsh FA, who like the people who do all the coaching badges and people involved within football who've had anything to do with Aaron Ramsey, they all feel that he's one of the most astute and intelligent football minds of his kind of generation, and they all feel that he's going to go on and be an outstanding coach and manager. That's exciting to me. Just my opinion, though. Graham's got toothache, and he scalded his finger doing the ironing, and it still doesn't hurt as bad as this season. Well, mate, put it underwater. Can't help you with toothache. It's the worst thing in the world. Paul says Ramsey. Graham says, I'd like to see Ramsey and co have a go. Jamie says, I think we need a reset as a huge collective. Get a proper structure in place from top to bottom. Get a proper footballing idea and a proper philosophy in place. You're preaching to the converted, my friend. What I've been saying, and I completely agree. Phil says, keep a few of the youngsters, get rid of the rest, especially the two keepers. Rubbish. What was Howarth doing yesterday? Never bothered trying to save. Just watched the ball go past him. Yes and no, mate, with the Howarth for yesterday specifically. Like, I think, the free kick, he ain't getting near that. And there was another couple, like, he's not going to get near him. But I do agree with you, because my son was a keeper, and I've worked a lot with keepers over the years because of that. And one of the things we drill into young keepers is, even if you think especially really young keepers, like when they're learning, even if you think you're not going to get a ball, like, throw yourself at it, dive full length, because the slightest fingertip can be the difference between a goal and not a goal. Like, you can hit the bar and stay out, post and stay out. And I agree with you, mate. I don't like seeing keepers just stand there. And I also agree with you. Cardiff City need two goalkeepers, in my opinion. I know that young Armstrong is really highly rated, but let's be honest, he's probably not going to play first team football next year. And in my opinion, Howarth's not good enough. And I don't think Alnwick's good enough. Do you know why I think Alnwick gets away with it a little bit? It's because Howarth looks so shaky and has been responsible for so many goals over this season. You go back to the Burnley game when he goes over his foot and all these different moments. that I think actually because of that, people forget how many goals Alnwick has cost us as well. Like, I just think they're both number twos. That's just my opinion. And I know, for instance, Rhys, who does stuff on the channel, I know he's a big fan of Alnwick, not a fan of Howarth, but he thinks Alnwick is, is decent. I just don't think either one of them is good enough to be number one long term. Jonathan says, rinse and repeat by our board. Ramsey highly likely. If Ramsey comes in, I think it's different. And the reason I think it's different to previous appointments and things like that is because I don't think he takes the job without a change off the field. It's just my opinion, but I'm pretty semi-sure about it. Martin's hoping for Stephen McPhail as director of football. I'd be very, very happy with that, mate. Like, I would be proper chuffed with that. Jamie says, as long as Rambo's here, there's still commercial viability from sponsors, etc. Yeah, his name's massive, mate, and is huge. Evan says, should do a summer series called Inside the Knowledge, all the in the know stuff that Simon loves to talk about. No, I don't, mate. That's the thing. I don't like to talk about it. In fact, last year in the summer, all of that type of stuff we put in a podcast called The Rumour Mill, which was on a Tuesday morning, and that was for members only because I don't want the channel to be like clickbaity, and I don't want the channel to be like, ooh, X player is going to sign for this and that. But it's difficult because in the summer and the transfer windows, everybody wants to talk about it. I would prefer, so like the main channel will have videos like 5 midfielders that might make a difference to Cardiff squad, or 5 midfielders that Cardiff City might sign. We'll do them, which are always really, really well researched. But that sort of ITK stuff is not really my bag. But we will have a thing on we'll probably do the rumour mill because you lot seem to enjoy it. And ultimately, that's what it's about. It's what you guys want in it. But Martin, Matthew, right. John says, do Ramsey and Gunter have the significant experience? Not all sure they'd be the best bet. Well, that's why I think they would do it they would have an experienced head with them. Maybe not in the coaching staff. It might be off the field, but they'll have someone. You've got to get someone in there day to day, day to day running at a football club. Shocking, I know. It's like outside the box thinking. Jamie says, I'd happily see what recruitment Aaron Ramsey can get. Arsenal contacts, other contacts with Welsh players, etc. Yeah, and what you got to think as well is Welsh players will want to come play for him, without a doubt, especially the young ones. Jonathan says, who do you think that Ramsey could bring into the coaching staff that would be good at developing these players, but also give them a rocket up their arse when needed? Ramsey seems too nice to do it. I think that's what Chris Gunter's there for, mate, if I'm honest. But I'm sure that he'd bring in... I don't think it would be exactly what we saw finish the season. I think... because I think a couple of them have got contracts with the FAW, so not quite sure how it would work. I'm sure it'll be similar, but Martin says Ramsey also alluded to changing the culture in his post-match interview. It's there for all to see, mate, isn't it? Matt says, if Rambo stays, I think we'll keep Gunter. Who else do you think would support him? 100% needed director of football. Seems above that McPhail has been mentioned. I've heard that also. Yeah, it's only Chinese whispers at the moment. Yeah, mate, I think Steve McPhail has built a good reputation for himself in that sort of role. He knows Cardiff City, and another one who's got absolutely phenomenal contacts, particularly, around the UK and the Championship and the Premier League. And he's so highly thought of, Steve McPhail. Seems like a no-brainer, but was that no? Jonathan says, Howarth put a hell of a show on. Best paid spectator since Kanga. Aye. Wales keep the faith. 1967 says, yeah, we're bullet staying for the season. I doubt we would have won a game all season. It was painful, wasn't it? A few people saying about a mannequin. Let's talk about something else for a bit. Let's talk about Dylan Lawlor. Martin says Dylan Lawlor was absolutely immense yesterday. Such a mature performance. We'll do well to keep hold of him. We renewed his contract, didn't we? Or we took the option on his contract not long ago, which was a shockingly intelligent move from Cardiff. Look, when he played against Aston Villa, which was his debut, by the way, for the first team, he just looked like he was born to do it, and he had done it for years at that level. It was remarkable. It really was a remarkable debut, because Villa had some top-tier talent out that day up front and in the attacking areas, and Dylan Lawlor just looked like a walk in the park. I believe at the time I compared him to Danny Gabardon because he's so composed and so relaxed. It was super impressive, and I thought yesterday he was super impressive. I think he's got to be a starter for Cardiff next year. My only concern is that, can you go into League One with Will Fish and Dylan Lawlor as your centre-back pairing, because they're both young-ish? I know Fish is, like 22 or something. Like, it's a really young centre-back pairing, but they're good enough, they're old enough, and to me, Dylan Lawlor looks like he's good enough. I've got to say, I've been, as much as I had watched him before and I'd heard about him and I'd spoken to people about him and all that, like I knew what was coming to a certain degree. Even in those 2 appearances he's made for Cardiff now, I've just been blown away by the composure, the quality, the positional sense of it, like just all around very, very impressive. And just excellent. I really would have liked to have seen him start yesterday. And something which encapsulates Cardiff's attitude and season overall was Callum Chambers' sending off. Instead of doing the hard yards and getting back in and slowing the striker down, he kind of just took the half-assed option and brings him down for the red card. It just encapsulated everything about Cardiff's season for me. But I wanted to have a quick look. Dylan Lawlor. So he played 57 minutes yesterday. He made 2 clearances, blocked 1 shot, made 2 interceptions, made 3 tackles. He had 5 ground duels, and he won all 5. 1 aerial duel, which he did lose. He lost possession 5 times, had a passing accuracy of 86%. He hit 4 long balls. Every single one of them found the target, and had 1 successful dribble attempt. Unbelievable. And I get it. There's no pressure on the game, but there is pressure on him as a young guy coming on as a sub after half an hour. So he wouldn't have been expecting to come on at that point. To put in a performance like that against some real serious attackers. Just on a side note, maintaining and continuing our quality analysis for the previews. My man to watch and my danger man again in Nunes went and put a 9.4 out of 10 performance according to SofaScore yesterday. Absolutely outstanding performance individually by him. He was excellent. Played for 90 minutes, 2 goals, an assist, XG of 0.22, expected assists of 0.22, expected goals of 0.55. Superb he was. Very, very, very good. 4 shots on target. Created chances. A very good footballer. But what I don't understand, and I say it time and time again, is if me, a glorified YouTuber, I wouldn't even say that, with no experience in football analysis, can pick out these systems and these way of playing and these individuals and whatever. And I'm not saying it's unique to me. Like, I'm not saying that anyone in this chat couldn't have pointed out that he was going to be a problem. I just don't understand why Cardiff as a club don't have people in place to spot these things. And look, I'm not necessarily talking about Nunes because that's a pretty obvious one, but we've done that consistently since this channel started, whether it's a system, a way of playing, an area which we feel Cardiff are going to be targeted in or going to be having problems in this game. And we've time and time again, it's been there, and it's frustrating to see because I just think if I can see that, why can't they? But there we go. Rhys says, are you surprised with certain team selections, considering some of the whispers we've heard, considering Ramsey would have been in the dressing room and training pitch to see some of the stuff? Who was in the side yesterday? No. Not really shocked by any. Not really. When you think Mate, NG, no Callum Robinson, those three didn't travel. So make it out what you will, I guess. Paul says, was Robinson injured or did he down tools? I have no idea on his injury status. I have no idea whether he chose not to travel to Norwich or not. I don't have that information, but I don't think he likes Sheffield very much, apparently. Jonathan says, I hope Robinson to Wrexham is true. I think he's one of the bad eggs, personally. So I find this really tricky, right? Because last season, I gave Callum Robinson a lot of deserved criticism. But when he had that sit down with Errol Bullock at the end of the season and he came back in the summer and preseason and he was super fit and he had a super good attitude, I gave him all the plaudits that he deserved. And I think there's two elements to it. So there's the football side of things. I think he's a very good striker. He's a goal scorer, but he's a very streaky striker. So he'll score for 5 or 6 games in a row, and then he won't score until after that. Like he won't score for quite a long period, and then he'll have another streak and again to 12 goals for the season. In the parts of the season where he's not on a scoring streak, I don't feel that he offers very much to the team. But he did at the start of the season. At the start of the season, when he was leading the line alone and he was running the channels and he was stretching the team, which allowed the likes of Colwell and the wingers to find space because he was running in behind and creating that space. As the season went on, and maybe you could say as his confidence dropped, he began to keep dropping deeper and deeper, like into that sort of number 10 area. And then it was all getting like congested again. He was at his best when he led the line alone before SALECH came in and he was running the channels. Did he get his nose put out of joint a little bit because SALECH came in, hit the ground running, and then before long was starting? I don't know. I don't know if I'd go as far to say Callum Robinson is one of the bad eggs, but I think there's been some issues with him, and I just think he's one of them where you just got to shake hands and say thank you. Probably time to just part ways. I think for him to Wrexham is a good move, and he fits that that criteria that they kind of go for. They look for sort of 28, 29-year-olds who've done it in the league that they're going into. And I think he hits that. He ticks a lot of those boxes. I think it'd be a good move for him, and it'd be a good move for them. And I think it would be a good move for Cardiff. I think we need to move on. And just say thank you for the service. My worry with Yusuf SALECH is, so Evan says, let's be honest, SALECH is gone unless he says himself that he wants to stay to get us back in the Championship. He's already said he wants to stay. But as I said earlier, my worry with him is if I'm a championship club, I'd be looking at him. He's our Jordan James. So for those of you who don't know what I mean by that, last season, at this sort of point, maybe a couple of weeks later, I was saying Cardiff should basically invest a large majority of their budget for the summer into buying Jordan James from Birmingham and then try and sell to buy the rest and loans and stuff, because I felt that he was that good and that important to what Cardiff needed. Because Birmingham got relegated, they had to sell. They were going to have to sell one big player to kind of balance the books, for lack of a better term. My concern is that Cardiff can't turn down money. Historically proven. So, but if we sell the likes of NG, Robinson, Robertson, then maybe we can afford to turn down the big bucks for SALECH. I believe he wants to stay. I don't, he said it a couple of weeks ago. Can things change? Of course they can. I think we need to invest in the young players and give them real positive leaders around them. Let's get some proper leaders at the club. The club has got history for selling those players. Graham says, O'Dowda, SALECH, Reno and Ralls play the youngsters. Plus the youngsters keep, not bothered who else goes. I agree with all that, probably apart from Ralls, mate. He's the one I'd probably do something with. Yeah. SALECH, everything I've heard is he wants to stay. Ruben Caldwell yesterday showed again why when you put him around ballers and young players, he's got all the tools to be a quality player. What I think Ruben needs is he needs to play week in, week out. And I think he showed that this year. Whenever he got a run of games, he started to become more and more consistent. Whenever he was in and out of the side, that was when his form dropped. Do I think he'll be here at the start of the season? I'm very, very torn on it. I hope he is, because I think he could be massive for us in League One. Really think he could be huge, because I think a lot of League One defenders will not know what to make of a 6 foot whatever number 10, because he's so awkward and so unique in his stature and his profile. But look, I have no idea how that'll pan out. There'll be clubs who will be sniffing around these types of players. And I know some people will say, like, Ruben wasn't very good this year, so who's going to pay money for him? Do you think Premier League teams, just because he's had one bad season, or one, not even a bad season, one inconsistent season this year after having a good season last year, and by the way, he was pretty consistent in the middle of this season, that no one would take a risk on him for like 3-4 million? Of course they would. Frustrating. Who can tell me in record time, because I am about to wrap up, how tall is 189 centimeters in feet? Go. Mate, Yaku Mate was at a Reading game yesterday. Can you imagine? 6'2". The winner is Mrs. Willis. Ruben Caldwell, 6'2", number 10. Joshua says, what do you think of Du Bois and Southernwood get up to? Our recruitment is shocking. I was looking on LinkedIn earlier. Du Bois was promoted within the club. He's been there long enough for the next job. Mate, I said it the other day, I feel the recruitment team's got away with it a lot this year in terms of criticism. Jonathan says, do you think we might actually see Kieran Evans make an appearance in the league next season? Nope. Jordan, welcome back, mate. Jordan says, who would we have our new manager and make the team even better, or would you keep Aaron Ramsey in the neck? I did say at the start, mate, if you have missed it, you can scroll back to the start, or obviously rewatch it after. But I said my choice would be Aaron Ramsey with Chris Gunter as the assistant and an experienced football operations team, director of football and stuff above him. Tete's coming back next year. Matt, you're right. We'll be fine. Ian Dalglish says we need to keep SALECH or SIMMIT. I refuse to go into another season with Kiana Tete as our number 9. I actually think SIMMIT could be a bit of a secret weapon in the summer. I really genuinely wish I had a contact for him. I would love to speak to him, SIMMIT, because I think this summer could be massive for him. Oh, Reindorf got on a pitch yesterday, did he? Amazing. It's taken him a while to get in on that Bristol Rovers yesterday. Bristol Rovers this season, sorry. Yeah, look, it's difficult. Jonathan says that Lawlor and Fish look like they complement each other a lot more than any other combination at the back this season. Strange thought when we still let 4 in, but Howarth was a statue. I can't. Surely we're going to build a back 4 around those two now. Bagan left back, those two. Capaccio, I thought, was a bit shaky positionally, but I thought he grew into it. And actually on the ball and the rest of it, I thought he did all right, but it was positionally, I thought he got caught out a little bit. But that can be nerves, just like switching off for a minute. And I think with young players, when they make their debut, you've got to give them 3 to 5 games where you kind of just go, first 3 to 5 games for a young player coming through the academy, you just allow them, just go and enjoy it. And then after that sort of 3 to 5 game period, that's when you start giving them tactical instructions and different things. I think you've got to let them settle into the team and play without fear and just go enjoy it for the first bit. Martin says Lawlor showed the difference a centre-back who's comfortable passing through the lines makes to the team. Not so many sideways passing from him. Yeah, and that's why I like Joel Bagan, left centre-back alongside Fish. It was actually my favourite centre-back pairing, apart from Lawlor and Fish yesterday. My sort of other favourite partnership we've had this year, of so many, was Fish and Bagan. Yusuf SALECH wants to stay, but Vincent Tan wants the cash. Yusuf SALECH would have been unreal again under Dave Jones. You're right there, mate. So Rhys says, and I'll finish off on this. He says, I wouldn't say I'm disappointed with the names who've asked to leave or have been rumoured to ask to leave. 1 or 2 have lived off previous things, probably should have been moved on previously. Club needs to be honest. Yeah, the club needs to be honest. And we just need to accept that some of these players don't want to be here. And maybe some of them have not got the required attitude that we need to take the club forward now. We've got to change the attitude in that dressing room. Jordan says, I'd love to bring in Josh Sheenan, keep Colwell because they play in the Wales international team. What a signing that could be. Yeah, I quite like Josh Sheenan. And he's experienced as well. Don't mind that for a shout. Is he a jack? Good footballer as well. Damn. And you've also got Joel Colwell. Eli King, I'm not 100% sure on, but Joel Colwell could be a big player next year. SALECH, Lawlor, Joel Colwell, Ruben Colwell. If you keep Di Turnbull will be huge in League One. Let me tell you that. But I don't know if he definitely stays. And then you've got some of the other youngsters coming through. Daniel Ola, you've got Manny Bart and people like that who might get a bit of a sniff next year. And that's the other thing, right? And this is what I am actually going to finish on. Or these 2 comments. Joshua says, any player who isn't 100% committed, Si, can get lost respectfully. Yeah, 100% agreement. Don't matter who you are. Ian Dalglish says, having a permanent manager in can also be the difference in staying and going. And that is true. Let's just use a hypothetical. And this is hypothetical, I promise. Let's say Alex Robertson's asked to leave the club now, or has indicated to the club that he wants to go, hypothetically. And it is hypothetical. Let's say he said, I don't want to play in League One or whatever. I think it's best if I move on. And then he finds out Aaron Ramsey and Chris Gunter are staying on, because up until the last few days, it didn't seem like they were staying. Now, all of a sudden, it does look like they might at least have an opportunity to stay, or there might be an opportunity to keep them. Alex Robertson might go, but if he's staying and they're going to sort some stuff out off the field, actually, I will stay. I'll give it another year and let's get you back up. And that could go for anyone. So yeah, it is what it is. Guys, there's so many comments. I tried to get through as many as I could in the second half of the show, but it was just too many. But I appreciate them so much. Thank you so much. Gonna have to get a moderator, I think, on these Sunday night shows. It is literally impossible for me to get through them all. I appreciate you all. Jordan, yes, I do think we should sell Callum Chambers. Yeah, there we go. Mechanic says, if we had bought Ricky J. Jones as well as SALECH, would we have stayed up? Yes. Because Ricky J. Jones gave us two things that we didn't have. Electric pace, and he's a goal scorer. So there's two things we lack massively. Cardiff City phone in tomorrow night. Rhodri Giggs and football over on Ace Podcast Nation tomorrow night. Tuesday night, Evans keep loan sell tier videos out. All sorts coming up. Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Thank you very much for the support. If you're not a member, please do consider it. We've had a few, I think 5 new members this week, which I absolutely love. Appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the comments and all the people who just put 6'2", 6'4", 6'2", 6'3". That's how behind I am on the comments. I'm just scrolling through them. Nice one. Appreciate you. Spread the word about Cardiff City World. Keep the faith. In a